Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the NIRSC Forage Analysis webinar. This is part 4 of the series. We're just going to allow a couple minutes here for people to join, so please stand by. Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to the NIRSC Forage Analysis webinar series. This is part 4 in our series. Today's topic will be an overview of the NIRS Forage and Feed Testing Consortium. My name is Rachel Lenister. I currently serve as the Vice President of the NIRS Forage and Feed Testing Consortium. Before I introduce our speakers today, I wanted to mention that for those of you taking advantage of the ARPAS CEUs, this series as a whole is awarded 2 credits. There's 1 meeting listed for the entire series, which is now up on the ARPAS website for members to report their CEUs. I believe it is titled NIRSC 2020 Live Webinar Series. We will be taking questions following today's session, so please use the question function on your screen to submit your questions. We will hold the questions until the end. So without further ado, I am pleased to introduce Patty Laskowski-Morin and Bobby Joe Anderson, our guest speakers today. Patty is the Executive Director of the NIRS Consortium and has been with the group for 20 years. She is also currently a dairy producer for Organic Valley. She has a master's degree in environmental biology and has spent time as a community college instructor teaching courses such as anatomy and botany. Bobby Joe is the NIRSC applications manager, and she is responsible for the development, maintenance, and support of the NIRSC calibration equations. Thank you for joining us, Patty and Bobby Joe. Turn it over to you.
Thank you, Rachel. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to be talking about who the NIRS Consortium is and the performance of our calibrations. I will be talking about the first part, and then I will turn it over to my colleague, Bobby Joe Anderson, to talk about our calibrations. We're going to cover the story of the NIRSC, steps that we use to achieve our mission, and how we aim for excellence in NIRS performance. The story of the NIRS Consortium grows out of the story of the use of NIRS in agriculture. Leaders like Carl Norris were beginning to use NIRS in the mid-1970s, and people like John S. Schenck, who was pivotal in this, was developing the computer modeling at that time. So then in the late 1980s and early 1990s, some of these same leaders organized a group to review lab variation in NIRS analysis. This was a pilot evaluation of instruments, and it showed that methods and usage was really all over the board. So our group was formed after this to address all of this variation. At that time, the goal was to match instrumentation and software. So today we are organized as a federal nonprofit, and we continue to advance NIRS usage in agriculture. We are different than for-profit businesses that may do similar work in calibration development or other types of work with NIRS because we are encouraging uniformity and cooperation. We develop our programs for those ends, and our members share in the cost of calibrations, and this also means that we are disseminating knowledge about standard use of those calibrations. Our members are really special in this cooperation because they help advance our mission by participating. They participate on committees, on the board, in special projects, and especially by submitting samples. The samples submitted to us are very important in developing a collective database of shared information that is much more powerful than one lab could do on their own. So what we do improves the functioning of the entire forage and feed industry because we are promoting accuracy and uniformity. This ripples out to those that use NIRS instruments, those that use NIRS analysis reports, producers that grow forages, and producers that feed forages. Overall, our efforts support the accurate representation of feedstuffs. This then helps nutritionists and producers, and it helps them understand how the feed will translate to animal performance, growth rate, and production, that kind of thing. Okay, so the mission of the NIRSC is, first, I'll talk about each of these little areas that are highlighted for you. First, we promote. We want to let everyone know how reliable and useful NIRS can be. We standardize. This is one of the main nonprofit goals of our organization. We are standardizing the usage of NIRS for feedstuffs by standardizing calibrations, sample handling, instrument usage, all of these things. We optimize. We will get into this a little bit more when Bobby Jo is discussing her part, but basically we want to make sure the calibrations are robust and accurate and can cover a wide range of samples, and those samples that have a wide range of quality, environments, and so on. Finally, best laboratory practices. We have developed recommendations for standard sample handling practices, specifically geared for NIRS analysis. Our vision is to be a leader in NIRS applications, and really to do this through collaboration with experts and users of NIRS. This is our big picture view that drives us forward with everything. We have a number of resources for our members, and I will touch on each of these. Our organization realized from its beginning that samples were being collected before they ever even got to the laboratory in many different ways. So there was initially sampling error and all kinds of variation to begin with. Then when the labs got the sample, they were using many different methods to handle and analyze the samples. So we have developed a guide for sample handling that goes over the specific steps for NIRS analysis. Some of these things that are important are, for example, particle size, so that the instrument can see the sample components really well. Another one would be mixing the samples well, looking at sampling error, and so on. We've got all of these kinds of things covered in this guide. The guide combines the most relevant, reliable, accepted sources. Some of these are AFCO and FTA peer-reviewed publications, classic compilations by leaders in the field of NIRS. So a very comprehensive guide. In the NIRS Consortium, we are a group of users and collaborators. We share information and collect information. We can provide consultation and expertise, and we network with other professionals in areas like different forage varieties, nutrition, NIRS technology, and many others. So really, we are a clearinghouse for information on NIRS. We participate in conferences and other events to share information. We want to educate and expose our members to multiple kinds of development opportunities. We often have our membership meetings in conjunction with other meetings of interest. We have partnered with other organizations to bring workshops and specialized sessions to educate our attendees. And we encourage our members to attend and participate and help us reach for our mission and vision through this participation and attendance. Our members are located all across the United States, as you can see. We are expanding into Canada and China, and other countries are contacting us about cooperating also. This broad expansion of members ensures that we have samples of all types and range of quality. Our membership has representatives that include university and government researchers, commercial testing labs, other commercial entities. We have plant breeding research groups, and finally the instrument companies that partner with us and supply the instruments to us. Our board of directors represents our member categories equally. So the segments that you see here within the board represent the types and range of samples our members work with, and they also represent the pools of knowledge within our board, such as research and extension, nutrition, agronomy, and sample analysis. So we've got a really broad range within our board, and we have a diverse group that represents all types of information and their experience and really represents our membership. So our board, this is the group that fields information from our members and brings it back to the organization so that we can develop programs that reach back out to the forage industry and the public as well. Okay, so we'll have questions at the end, but now I'm going to turn it over to Bobby Jo Anderson to tell you about excellence in NIRS performance.
Good afternoon. My name is Bobby Jo Anderson. I do the NIRS calibration work for the consortium. And I'd like to just go over some of the calibration side to our membership and our goals in offering our calibrations. So calibration performance, how do we achieve accuracy and optimal performance? By standardizing the instrument use, and scanning protocols. By promoting proficient sample preparation and handling methods for NIRS analysis. As Patty mentioned, education is a big part of what we do with NIRS analysis and use of our calibrations. So we've been working on offering some future training opportunities to our membership in terms of either webinar or on-site for some things like sample prep, instrument health and maintenance, best scanning protocols, things like that, and also some hands-on looking at how each of these steps may affect your end result. Calibration and what makes the consortium unique. So as Patty mentioned, and you think back to her slide with the map of our members, our samples come from our membership for calibration updates. So we have robust sample databases that include a wide range of geographic regions, growing seasons, and conditions. So with that, we are able to offer quality forage calibrations across multiple instrument platforms, including FOSS, Unity, Blue Sun, and Bruker. So we're in a position where we can offer strategic calibration, transfer, and inoculation, where we can test and validate our methods in a way that produces the most accurate results. And also a unique thing to us is that with our membership and use of the calibrations, you get full use of the prediction model files. So there's no per sample fees, which is very nice for, say, commercial labs, but it's also beneficial for individualized reporting systems that are already in place. So here's a list of our current calibrations available. So we have legume, grass, and mixed haylage, fermented and unfermented corn silage, and then also a separate calibration for our alfalfa breeder group. So if you're wondering about a specific species or type of forage that may be included in any of these calibrations, you can reach out to us. We have attribute lists or like an outline of what may be included in each of these. So here is a list of current supported instruments. I mentioned that we work with 4 instrument vendors, FOSS, Unity, Blue Sun, and Bruker, but we also provide calibration support to these instruments here. I think there are 14 listed. So calibration updates and improvements. Like Patty said, we rely on membership participation. We offer surveys periodically where we ask for feedback on not only calibration performance, but also new constituents of interest, and then sample submission. Each year we do sample selections for calibration updates by product as well as by constituent. So we're fortunate that we are able to have multiple master instruments and house them in one location, and that is at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville in the NIRSC Instrument Hub. So this allows us to have all the instruments in one lab, consistent environment, optimal instrument health, and also allows us to have like consistent sample packing and scanning of our update calibration samples on every instrument, and then also allows us to effectively monitor calibration performance across platforms on a daily basis. So with that, conclude the calibration overview. Please reach out if we missed anything or if you have other topics of interest. We also have our webinar series, repeating again, the next one being May 26th at 10 a.m. If you'd like to join or didn't get an invite, we can send you one, or if you'd like to share it. So with that, I think I will put up our contact information. I think we'll go to the questions, but also if you have questions individually, you can reach out to us.
Okay, thank you, Patty, and thank you, Bobby Joe. As Bobby Joe just mentioned, we are taking questions at this time, so please feel free to submit your questions in the question function on your screen, and we will get to them. Here's the first question. How much does it cost to become a member of the NIRS Consortium?
Okay, so I'll take that one. We have if you have a question on how much it costs, what we need to do is decide what kind of category of member you are, and we have a varying fee schedule. So reach out to me and we can talk about what kind of a lab you are and what kind of business you run or organization you're within, and we can go over all the categories and we can figure that out, whoever's interested in that.
Okay. Another question we have is, what kind of variations do you see between instrument brands?
Each instrument may have their own hardware, but we are able to have a master of each of those in our instrument hub. And so through standardization and appropriate calibration transfer, we are able to really get them to be close, and then we can monitor across platforms every day to look at the differences, take note of them, adjust anything that may need adjusting. So we're pretty fortunate that we are able to have all of those instruments in-house.
So if a member is using multiple instrument platforms, you can typically handle the differences?
Yes.
Okay. Another question we have here. What new constituents are being developed or offered at the consortium?
For our 2021 update, which will be our next update, we will have added ADICP, NDICP, and insoluble protein to all of our silage calibrations. So both fermented and unfermented corn silage and haylage, mixed haylage. So then the following update will include those constituents on our hay calibrations.
Okay. Another question we have here is, what is included with the consortium membership?
Patty, would you like to take that one?
Sure. And then maybe you could expand on that a little bit. So we kind of have two sides to that with what's included with membership. We've got a technical side, but we also have an educational and networking and support side. Our members have access to our entire group, and at those meetings that we talked about earlier, we talk about issues and topics that are of interest to our membership. If 1 year we have, for example, an interest in nutrition, we will kind of focus on that. Maybe we might have some workshops on that, and we'll get some experts to talk about that. So that's one example on that particular topic. We would then keep doing that over the next types of events that we have. And so we have this system in that we exchange information and we work together to continually add information to our NIRS group and in support of what we're doing. So that's kind of the educational aspect of it. Then there's also a technical side. So loading calibrations, answering questions about the usage, standardization of instruments, questions on that. And I'll let Bobby Joe address that a little bit further as far as the technical side.
Sure. So when someone initially becomes a member, we generally do a standardization. And when we're doing this, we can also see if the instrument has any issues, or we just kind of go through everything at initial setup with a member. And then going forward, we always load the calibrations on to your instrument. Whether you're on a network or remotely, we can remote in and put them on for you, and that would be with every update. But we're also just available for questions, and then have good relationships with the instrument vendors. So like if you have a question with something with your instrument, and specifically, we know exactly who to put you in contact with efficiently.
Okay. Another question we have here, are calibration models from the consortium applicable to the whole US or only certain regions of the US? I think that mostly has to do with representation in the databases.
Yeah, so we have membership all over the United States, some in Canada and China, as Patty mentioned. So over the years, membership has been very good about participating in submitting their samples. So we do have really robust calibrations that should cover most of these areas. If you have specific questions, we can go over that, or try the calibration with them and just take a look at what you have.
Okay. I believe that is it for our questions. Again, thank you all for joining us this afternoon for part 4 of our webinar series. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to Patty or Bobby Joe directly. With that, thank you both, Patty and Bobby Joe, and everyone have a good rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you.